We meet Zak, a young man with Down syndrome living in a care facility for the elderly. One day during lunch, he slides a hand-drawn note to Rosemary. It's a doodle of a pudding and a wrestler running toward an exit. He hands her his pudding, and she nods in agreement. Zak looks around the room and sees Eleanor, a young caretaker. Rosemary launches into a dramatic coughing fit, sending the staff into a panic. In the chaos, Zak bolts but is tackled within seconds. Zak is back in his room with Carl and watching a pro wrestling tutorial from his hero, the saltwater Redneck, on an old VHS tape. Carl groans that they've watched it 100 times, but Zak doesn't care and even practices his favorite move, the atomic throw. Eleanor walks in and tells Zak that he has lost his privileges because of the escape attempt. Zak argues that he's young and doesn't want to be stuck living with old people, but Eleanor reminds him that with no family to care for him, the state has placed him here in the facility and pleads with him to stop trying to run away. Meanwhile, Tyler is gutting fish at the docks when his boss, Winky, storms in. He warns Tyler that Duncan and his crew are coming after him for stealing their crab pots and that their feud could cost Winky his license. Fed up, Winky fires him on the spot. After getting fired, Tyler sits alone on the dock, thinking about his mess, when Winky comes over with a beer. He tells Tyler he can't keep dragging him into trouble with the stolen stuff and reminds him that Duncan has rights to that area. Winky says Tyler's brother Mark is looking down on him from heaven and that Mark would want him to straighten out his life. Zak is up watching old wrestling videos on his VCR late into the night when Carl, who used to be an engineer, comes up with a clever trick to bend the window bars. Zak squeezes through the bars and escapes into the night. After running through the night, Zak ends up at the docks and climbs into a small boat to hide. Duncan and his crew confront Tyler and rough him up, and warn him not to touch their gear or crabs in their territory ever again. Back at the retirement home, Eleanor walks into Zak's room and panics when she sees the window bars bent open. She asks Carl what happened. Before she can push further, another staff member rushes in and tells her that her boss needs to see her immediately. After cleaning himself up, Tyler snaps and torches all of Duncan's crab pots. Duncan and his crew spot the flames and charge after him. Tyler sprints to the small boat, unaware Zak is hiding in it, and takes off as Duncan's boat follows. After a tense chase, Tyler cuts into a thick patch of weeds and hides. Duncan circles the area but can't find them. Meanwhile, Zak, shaken by the sudden movements, starts vomiting, and Tyler clamps a hand over his mouth and threatens him with a knife to keep him quiet until Duncan finally gives up and leaves. Once the coast is clear, Tyler starts the engine and moves on. Eleanor meets with Glenn, who's clearly irritated that Zak managed to escape and calls him a flight risk. He takes a jab at her, saying that she lacks common sense. Instead of reporting it to the state authorities right away, Glenn tells her to find Zak and bring him back, making it obvious he's more concerned about how this will look on his record than Zak's safety. Tyler's boat ends up stranded in shallow water during low tide, so he packs his gear, shoots holes in the hull to sink it, and starts walking towards the shore. Zak trails after him, admitting he's scared because he can't swim. Tyler tells him he'll stick around until he can get him to safety. As they wade through the water, Zak rambles excitedly about his dream of going to the saltwater Redneck's wrestling school, learning real moves, and celebrating with all his friends. Eleanor watches Zak's old saltwater Redneck wrestling tape and notes down the address, Haden, North Carolina. Zak and Tyler reach a road by a pier, where Tyler tells him this is where they part ways. Zak asks if they can stick together, be friends, hang out, and maybe party. But Tyler turns him down, wishes him luck before walking off. Tyler hitchhikes in a truck. He and the truck driver have a bit of small talk. The truck driver tells him that the cops are looking for the guy who caused the fire at the docks, with a roadblock set up on Route 158. As they reach a railroad crossing, Tyler gets nervous, tells the driver he forgot something, and quickly hops out to avoid the roadblock. Tyler returns to the spot where he left Zak and is shocked to see a young boy bullying him to jump into the water. Tyler shouts for him to stop, but the boy snaps back at him and then shoves Zak into the water. Tyler rushes up the platform, punches the kid, and dives in after Zak, pulling him to safety. Tyler tells Zak that they're in Manteo and the wrestling school is in Haden, which is on his route to Florida. He agrees to drop Zak off there before continuing south. He gives Zak one of his t-shirts and they set off on their journey together. Eleanor searches the town, showing Zak's photo to shopkeepers and locals, knocking on doors hoping for a lead. Meanwhile, Duncan and his buddy are also looking around for Tyler to make him pay. Tyler and Zak move through a cornfield, staying out of sight. Zak trails behind, firing off non-stop questions. Tyler, my feet hurt. Tyler, do you have a car? Tyler, can we walk on the road? Tyler, Tyler, repeating his name over and over. Overwhelmed, Tyler tells him to get everything out and then be quiet so they continue searching for supplies. Tyler stops at a gas station called Bubba's and grabs some basics like peanut butter, beans, and some fish hooks. Noticing his rough shape, Bubba hands him some homemade whiskey. Eleanor walks in, and both Tyler and Bubba are instantly smitten. Tyler flirts with her a little and offers her some whiskey. She shows them a photo of Zak, asking if they've seen him, and both of them say no. Eleanor and Tyler leave the store and go their own ways. Tyler returns to the cornfield and jokes to Zak that he just met his girlfriend, Eleanor, and that she's out looking for him. Tyler lays down new ground rules. Rule number 1, don't slow him down. Rule number 2, Tyler's in charge, and Zak must pull his own weight. The two seal it with a goofy secret handshake and head off toward Haden. After 2 days of walking, Tyler and Zak reach a dead end. The only way forward is to swim across a river. Zak panics, reminding Tyler he can't swim. Tyler calmly tells him he needn't worry. Tyler stuffs air into Zak's pants in 2 plastic bags, ties a rope between them, and prepares to tow Zak across the river. They start crossing, Zak floating behind Tyler. Halfway through, a speeding fishing boat barrels toward them. Tyler kicks into overdrive, pulling Zak as fast as he can, and Zak narrowly escapes. They continue their journey to Haden. Zak is loving his newfound freedom, and Tyler, almost without realizing it, starts feeling protective of him. They take a break by the shore, watching the waves. Tyler eventually steps into the water for a swim, then signals Zak to join him. Even though Zak is scared, he now trusts Tyler completely and follows him into the water. Tyler starts teaching Zak how to swim, guiding his arms, helping him float, showing him how to kick, and patiently builds Zak's confidence one small step at a time. That night, Tyler and Zak rest on a moonlit beach. Zak tells Tyler that he wants to be a bad guy wrestler. When Tyler asks why he wants to be a bad guy, Zak quietly says, "Because my family left me." The answer hits Tyler hard. He tells Zak that being abandoned doesn't make someone bad. It's what's in their heart that matters, and that Zak has the heart of a hero. Later, as Zak sleeps, Tyler remembers a painful memory of driving late at night with his brother Mark after a party, and the moment things went tragically wrong. Tyler wakes up to find Zak staring at him, asking if he can train him to be a real wrestler. Although Tyler doesn't know anything about training, he gives in and launches into an improvised training camp. He makes Zak balance along railroad tracks, pushes him to roll a giant bale of hay, teaches him how to punch and lock up, and even teaches him how to shoot a gun. Between drills, they share watermelon. Tyler asks about Eleanor. They even carve the rinds into goofy helmets and joke around like brothers. Tyler and Zak crawl under a fence and wander into a yard with a lot of junk. As they check out an old tin boat, a man comes out of his house asking who they are. They turn to find blind Jasper John, an elderly blind man waving a gun. Jasper fires a shot at them. He then asks them if they are God-fearing. When they say yes, he smiles and lets them in. Jasper is a devout Christian and brings them to the water, where he insists on baptizing them. Zak goes in as Tyler is not a believer. Jasper then donates scrap from his junkyard, and Tyler and Zak build a makeshift raft, collecting wooden planks, cutting them, nailing them in, sewing a sail. Tyler pushes the raft into the water, Jasper wishes them well and sends them off. Drifting down a quiet creek, Tyler sits lost in his thoughts, memories of his brother Mark weighing on him. Zak notices and gently puts an arm around him and tells him that he will give him all of his birthday wishes. The gesture breaks Tyler, who finally lets himself cry into Zak's shoulder. Eleanor continues her search for Zak and even pays a visit at Jasper's house. Zak and Tyler drift along on their raft, eventually breaking out into the open sea. They reach the shore, and Tyler tells Zak to go on to the dry sand. Tyler hands him a bottle of whiskey. Zak takes a bold swig, saying, "Party." Tyler cheers in agreement before taking a big swig himself. Later that night, Tyler is lying on the beach. He puts Zak through a round of his custom training until Zak, exhausted, insists he can't feel his hands, his head, or his ankles. Zak then trudges over to a giant log, determined to lift it, but he fails and admits he isn't strong enough. Tyler tells him he needs an alter ego like his favorite wrestler, the saltwater Redneck. Zak thinks and proudly declares, "Falcon." Tyler loves it. Tyler disappears briefly and returns with a few branches. He ties them to Zak's back like wings. He smears ash on Zak's face for war paint, and Zak adds peanut butter as his own touch. Energized by his new identity, Zak charges back to the log, lifts it, and shoves it into the fire, shouting, "Peanut Butter Falcon!" They spend the rest of the night drinking, dancing around the fire, practicing wrestling moves, and celebrating before finally falling asleep on the beach. Searching for Zak, Eleanor happens to drive to the same beach where Zak and Tyler slept. She spots Zak lying motionless on the sand and panics and rushes over to him. Kneeling beside him, she shakes him awake, worried something might be wrong. Tyler approaches Eleanor from a distance. She is angry with him because Zak needs special care as he has Down syndrome. She pulls Tyler aside to talk privately. Eleanor warns that she could have him arrested for kidnapping, but Tyler tells her he made Zak a promise to take him to the Saltwater Rednecks wrestling school in Haden. He asks her to come along if she truly wants what's best for Zak. Before she can respond, Zak grabs the RV's keys and flings them straight into the water, leaving her stunned. Zak tells her that he wants to go see the Saltwater Redneck. The three of them set sail towards Haden. Eleanor asks Zak if he wants something to eat to help with his blood sugar, maybe an apple or some M&Ms. Before she can offer more, Tyler tells Zak that the training continues and that he should dunk his head underwater for as long as he can. While Zak has his head submerged, Tyler quietly tells Eleanor to stop treating Zak like he's fragile or incapable and to treat him like a normal person. Eleanor snaps back at Tyler, saying that she is just trying to take care of Zak. Zak suddenly bursts out of the water, proudly holding a live fish in his hands. The moment breaks the tension between them as they now have fresh food and something to celebrate together. Duncan and Ratboy continue their hunt for Tyler and eventually reach the campsite where Tyler and Zak spent the night, and it's clear they're getting closer. Meanwhile, Tyler, Zak, and Eleanor sit together eating the fish Zak caught. As they talk and laugh, Eleanor begins to notice how much Tyler has helped Zak grow, more confident, more capable, and happier. Later, they spend the afternoon diving and swimming. Eleanor is pleasantly surprised and proud when she sees Zak jump into the water and swim on his own. The three of them play and splash around, enjoying like a small, unlikely family. As the day ends, they climb back onto the raft and continue their journey. That evening, they anchor the raft in a quiet creek and light a fire in an old metal drum. Zak and Eleanor dance playfully while Tyler watches. He finds himself slowly falling for Eleanor. Tyler wakes up in the middle of the night and steps outside the cabin, only to find the raft engulfed in flames. Duncan and Ratboy emerge from the darkness, guns raised. Tyler drops to his knees as Duncan reminds him he destroyed thousands of dollars worth of their gear. Suddenly, Zak appears from the cabin, holding Tyler's gun and aiming it straight at Duncan. Faced with Zak's unexpected courage, Duncan and Ratboy back off and retreat into the night, warning Tyler that they still expect the money. The next morning, Tyler, Zak, and Eleanor walk quietly along the beach. While at the pier, Eleanor reveals she's a widow, and Tyler says that he lost his brother. They stop for breakfast at a diner. During the meal, Eleanor gets a call from her boss, Glenn. He informs her that Zak is to be brought back the next day, and Eleanor reluctantly agrees. Eleanor asks the waitress if she knows the Saltwater Redneck. The waitress confirms she does. With the address in hand, the three head out to find him, only to arrive at a small, rundown house that looks nothing like the home of a wrestling legend. Tyler walks up to the door and knocks. The Saltwater Redneck opens the door. Tyler asks if he's still running the wrestling school, only to learn it shut down 10 years ago. Not wanting to crush Zak's heart, he tells Zak that this man is someone else, and that the real Saltwater Redneck moved away. The three of them leave, continuing the search for Zak's hero. As they wander through town, unsure of what to do next, Tyler nor Eleanor has the heart to tell Zak that the wrestling school is long gone. Eleanor gently tells Zak it's time to head back, but he refuses and wants all three to stay together. Just then, a sports car comes roaring down the road, music blasting and dust flying. It screeches to a stop in front of them. It's the Saltwater Redneck in full wrestling gear. Zak is stunned, his dream finally real. The Saltwater Redneck tells Zak to hop in so they can head to his place for training. Back at the Saltwater Redneck's house, he sets up a makeshift ring and begins teaching Zak basic moves. As his friend Sam watches them, Zak asks him to teach the atomic throw. The Saltwater Redneck laughs and explains it was just a camera trick, impossible to do in real life. Later that evening, all are hanging out, and the Saltwater Redneck gives Zak few tips on practicing his moves. Out of nowhere, Zak says he wants to be in a real wrestling match. After thinking it over, the Saltwater Redneck tells him they have a card the next day, and Zak can face Sam and he will guide him and keep him safe. The next day, everyone piles into the Saltwater Redneck's car and head to the wrestling event. The Saltwater Redneck turns up the volume, and as the song kicks in, he lets out a wild scream. And soon Zak, Tyler, and Eleanor join in too, getting hyped for Zak's big moment. Sam sits in the rear seat, stone-faced and unmoved. They arrive at the venue where a match is already underway. Seeing that the sport is rough, Zak is concerned. The saltwater redneck pays the referee to add one more match to the lineup, Zak versus Sam. With the deal made, he informs Zak that everything is arranged. In the crowd, a large man notices Tyler. He makes a call, likely to Duncan, reporting that Tyler has been spotted in Haden. The saltwater redneck gives Zak a crash course in last-minute wrestling basics. After hyping him up with one final burst of energy, the saltwater redneck steps outside to let Zak prepare. Alone with Tyler, Zak tells him that he's scared. Tyler reassures him, hyping him up with confidence. The nerves shift into determination, and both shout in unison, building Zak up for the fight ahead. The referee introduces Zak as the Peanut Butter Falcon. Zak steps out wearing a falcon costume built from cardboard. The crowd falls silent, unsure of what to make of him. His entrance music hits, and Zak walks toward the crowd, high-fiving them and enters the ring with confidence, climbing the corner pads like a seasoned performer. The crowd warms up and soon begins chanting his name. When the match starts, Sam immediately shoves Zak to the mat with force. He's frustrated and has no intention of treating this like a friendly exhibition. He starts manhandling Zak, tossing him around the ring with real force, but the crowd cheers Zak on. Duncan arrives at the venue after having got the tip. Eleanor rushes out of the car to warn Tyler. Ringside, Tyler asks Zak if he wants to continue. Zak, still lying in the ring, confirms he does. Sam has totally lost it and flips the referee off. The crowd rallies behind Zak. Remembering the saltwater redneck's advice, Zak shouts the meanest line he has at Sam, that he is not invited to his birthday party. Then, in a moment that shocks everyone, Zak hoists Sam up over his head and throws him out of the ring, finally performing his dream move, the atomic throw. Duncan reaches Tyler from behind and strikes him on the head with an iron bar. Zak sits in the hospital waiting room when a doctor gives Eleanor an update and she breaks down crying. Eleanor and Zak are driving down an open road and reach Florida. Zak turns around and we see Tyler in the back seat with bandage on his head. He survived. They all are finally happy. Thanks for watching. The Cinema Summary team recommends checking out the full film. There's nuance and emotion a recap can't fully translate for a movie like The Peanut Butter Falcon.